What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. And guys, it is finally here. Rivalry Saturday is upon us. Lots of big games on the slate today. And I'm going to preview and predict. I think I have 11 games for you guys on this Saturday. I think I did 6 or 7 of them for Black Friday yesterday. Video got too long to make it one video, so I'm splitting it into 2 separate videos. Happy Rivalry Saturday morning, everybody. Good luck to all of your teams out there. Let's go ahead and dive in. Preview, predict some of the bigger matchups that we are going to see here in Week 13. Now, I base these matchups off of, hey, some I'm just really excited to see, but most of them here on this list are going to impact conference championships or the playoff conversation in some way, shape, or form. So, hey, before we dive into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, share, ring the bell, really anything you can do to interact with the channel is support. Even watching this video, you guys have been amazing this season. I appreciate all of you guys that have stuck around through the highs, lows, the kind of wonky schedules I've had to put out for you guys. But we're finally at the end of the regular season. Let's dive in to Week 13 predictions. And normally, you guys know how I do this, right? I go by time slots, and I want to try to ramp it up to what's the biggest game that's happening around this time. I'm not doing that today because right out of the gate, I know what game you guys want to see me preview and predict, and you guys know the side that I lean. It's the game, and this is what the game should be like. Okay, sorry, I had to show off my shirt, but looking at this from an unbiased perspective, right, you got the Michigan Wolverines. You got the Ohio State Buckeyes. You see the records down there, 11-0, both of them ranked in the top 3, both of them with a Big Ten championship, with playoff hopes. This is going to be a phenomenal game. The revenge factor leans the way of Ohio State this year. Michigan was able to beat Ohio State for the first time in what seemed like forever last year. Ohio State's been talked about like there's no way Ohio State loses this game. That was the talk in the offseason and in preseason. Michigan is coming ready to play. Let's go ahead, preview, and break down this game. My first key to this game, which team is going to possess superior physicality? As of right now, I got to say that's Michigan. Michigan is just the more physical team on the offensive and defensive lines. Now, the sheer raw talent that is on Ohio State's offensive and defensive lines are next to none. One of the best units in the nation when they're playing effectively. Same thing with the Michigan Wolverines. So it's going to be a dogfight on the line of scrimmage. Both teams are going to be looking to establish the run. It's a sunny day in Columbus, but it's very chilly. Hits, you're going to feel them. You're going to feel the hits right away. You're not going to wait to wake up on Sunday morning and feel those hits, right? So which team possesses superior physicality? And by that, what I mean is which team is able to win the line of scrimmage. That's going to be a big part of this game. Second, how healthy is everyone going to be? Well, I have a little bit of an answer for you guys there on that one. Blake Corum is going to attempt to play. That is the exact direct quote. That does not tell me that he's healthy, and that does not tell me that he is 100%. So attempting to play, we'll see what happens with Blake Corum here in this game. And also Donovan Edwards should be back for the Michigan Wolverines. I believe J.J. McCarthy going to be that starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. Of course, C.J. Stroud going to be that starting quarterback. Travion Henderson is out. However, Mayan Williams is back, and Dallin Hayden, the true freshman that broke out last week, is still in. And, of course, I kind of think this goes without saying, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is a no-go for this game as well. So there's kind of your health updates, if you will. I lean the way of Ohio State in that regard, right? Not having Blake Corum at 100% is absolutely going to hurt Michigan. And you got to think, I know this is the game, but especially if Michigan still being in this playoff race, you're gonna throw everything you have at Ohio State to try to beat him. And that includes Blake Corum for 90% of the game, if you can. Mix in Donovan Edwards there as well. But if Blake Corum just simply cannot go, that is an advantage to the Scarlet and Gray. Strengths on strengths are going to be pitted everywhere. Michigan's run defense, Ohio State's passing offense, Michigan's running offense. This Ohio State defense has gotten so much better. Michigan has continued their amazing defensive play from last season. Look, this is just going to be a phenomenal game. Two teams that rank in the top 20 nationally in so many statistical categories. This is going to be a dogfight, and I simply see no way that this game gets out of hand. Or do I? That is not my prediction. I believe, oh, by the way, all lines and odds are as of recording this video. Sorry if I've said that already. This is going to be a dogfight of a game. But I think with Michigan's, I don't want to say inability, because I have some belief in what J.J. McCarthy can do. But with the way that Michigan has struggled to throw the football this year, Ohio State's going to be able to make more plays through the air. And not having Blake Corum at 100% matters. Having Donovan Edwards back, that's a huge boost. But I don't think the Michigan backfield is going to be I do not think the Michigan backfield is going to be what it needs to be able to pull off this game. And more importantly, I do not think that J.J. McCarthy is going to be what he needs to be to pull off this game. And the revenge factor is too strong for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I don't see them letting this one slip away. The Buckeyes avenge their loss and move on to the Big Ten championship game. I got this one 30-27. That's a familiar score to the people in this rivalry. Remember the double overtime game in 2016? We could be seeing one of those thrilling types of matchups here in this game. But the Buckeyes avenge their loss and get to the Big Ten championship game. Whew. With that long preview out of the way, I know that's the video you guys, or I know that's the game you guys all clicked on. Let's break down some of the other games that you should be keeping an eye on this week. And around the same time, this is also a noon kickoff, the 14-point favorite, Clemson Tigers, still in the hunt for a spot in the college football playoff, face a tricky South Carolina team that just hung 63 on Tennessee last week. And long story short, the Gamecocks offense needs to be able to repeat the numbers that it was able to put up against Tennessee last week. This is a much better Clemson defense, and especially a strong start for the Gamecocks is absolutely necessary, right? This is a Gamecocks team that got off to a super hot start against Tennessee, and it never looked back. You're going to kind of need to follow the same MO here in this game if you want to knock off Clemson and ruin their hopes at a shot in the college football playoff. Secondly, kind of a good transition if I do say so myself, but the Gamecocks secondary are ball hawks. I believe they're second in the SEC with 11 picks this year. My apologies, guys, I got a frog in my throat this morning. But Clemson and DJ Uiagalelei at times, this has not been a consistent problem, at times have trouble turning the football over this year, which bodes super well for the likes of South Carolina. Now, this game is being played in Death Valley, and South Carolina is going to have their hands full. But where this game is going to be won is which side can play better. Can the Clemson offense play better, or can the South Carolina defense play better? That is going to be probably the biggest side of the field that you are going to have to watch for in this game. And I trust Clemson's offense more than I trust South Carolina's defense. I think South Carolina's going to make this one scary close, guys. I really do. But the Clemson Tigers are too much, especially defensively for South Carolina. And Clemson pulls away 11-1 heading into the ACC championship game with a prime opportunity to put themselves right back in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. All right, you got the Louisville Cardinals, who are ranked by the playoff committee. Welcome Louisville to the party. And then the Kentucky Wildcats as well. It's been a little bit of a struggling season for Kentucky, yet they find themselves 3-point favorites against their rivals in Louisville. One question I do have for Kentucky in this game, though. Are the Wildcats going to be able to reignite this struggling offense? It has been pretty solid throughout most of the year, but over these past couple of weeks, and especially these past two, they have fallen flat, and they can't get anything going. Not with Chris Rodriguez on the ground, not with Will Levis through the air, and the defense hasn't been able to do enough to not let Kentucky lose these games, right? So Kentucky, if they want to come out and win this game, they have to reignite this struggling offense. That is a must-see from Kentucky if you are a Wildcats fan in this game. How healthy is Malik Cunningham going to be? Now, I don't have a health update for you guys on this one, but he has not been 100%, and that is a huge factor, right? Malik Cunningham is one of the most dynamic playmakers in all of college football, in my humble opinion. But how healthy is Malik Cunningham going to be? If he is coming out guns blazing, gunslinging, good luck to the boys in blue. But if Malik Cunningham is not healthy and the Kentucky defense able to provide pressure, keep him in the pocket, that is a huge plus for the Kentucky Wildcats. One thing, though, that is deciding my decision in this game. The Cardinals force takeaways, and the Wildcats, over these past couple of games, have been giving it away. That is why I'm picking the Louisville Cardinals here in this game. Kentucky has to hold on to the football if they're going to want to be able to win this game, and I don't know that I necessarily trust that Kentucky offense as of this point in time. Kentucky can absolutely prove me wrong, and they can have a breakout performance here today. But my prediction, Louisville 27, Kentucky 23. And Louisville gets back at Kentucky and finally wins a game in this rivalry series. This one I'm not going to dwell on for too long because it is important for one team and one team only. Indiana cannot make a bowl game. That's the Purdue Boilermakers. I was not going to have this game on, but with Nebraska holding off the Iowa Hawkeyes, they just hired Matt Rule, by the way. I think that is an excellent hire from the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But talking about the game on your screen, Purdue, they got to find their offensive groove, right? This is an offense that has fallen flat the past couple of weeks, and if they want to come out here and avoid an upset, then Purdue has got to go find that offense again. But Indiana's got one job and one job only. They can play spoiler because a win puts the Boilermakers in Indianapolis. They're the 10.5-point favorite. And you know what? I tend to believe that Aiden O'Connell and company are going to get this offense moving. Again, like I said, not going to dwell on this one too long. Indiana makes this one interesting, but Purdue is able to pull away, and Purdue will be going to the Big Ten championship game to represent the Big Ten West to face Ohio State. That was my prediction at the beginning of the season. And what do you know? My predictions this week make it work out that way. Ohio State-Purdue is my predicted Big Ten Conference Championship game after Ohio State beats Michigan and Purdue gets this win right here. All right, the Iron Bowl. Number 7 Alabama at home taking on the Auburn Tigers. Not going to dwell on this one too long either. There's no real playoff importance here, although Auburn playing to make a bowl game if they're able to beat Bama, maybe trying to knock Bama out of the conversation for a New Year's Six bowl game, which I don't think is necessarily happening. I think Bama will still make a New Year's Six bowl game anyway, but a loss to Auburn here may make the job a little harder for the playoff committee to find a path for Bama to get into a New Year's Six bowl game. Bama's run defense has struggled at times this year, right? It gave up a lot of yards to LSU, to Tennessee, to Ole Miss, some really, really good teams, and you'll notice 2 of those teams they lost to. So if Auburn with Tank Bigsby and some other running backs they had back there are able to run the football against this Alabama team, hey, it could be a scary day if you are a fan of the Crimson Tide, but the Tigers just need something to give on third down. They just, frankly, sorry guys, my mic is being dumb. Auburn is just, frankly, not very good on third downs, right? This is a team that struggles mightily on third downs. I believe they're actually some of the worst in the country in terms of third down defense and third down offense. I could be wrong on that, so please forgive me. But the Tigers need something to give on third downs. They have to be really good on third downs today to win. And I think Auburn's going to make this one close in the first half. People might be looking at the score at halftime and saying, uh-oh, Bama is in trouble again. But I don't think it'll be anywhere. I think the Tide are going to take over in the second half. Bryce Young and company will have a big day. And this is the 3:30 Eastern game on ABC. 42-20 is my final score prediction in favor of the Crimson Tide, locking them in to a spot in the New Year's Six bowl game. You got the Oregon Ducks. You got the Oregon State Beavers. What used to be called the Civil War is a huge game for both of these teams. Oregon State looking to reach 9 wins. Can't remember the last time that Oregon State had a 9-win season. They are 21st in the nation, but they have a tough draw here. the Oregon Ducks come in with championship aspirations, because if they can get this job done, they are going to be on their way to playing USC for a Pac-12 championship game. Already out of the playoff running are the Oregon Ducks with those 2 losses, but they can still go ahead and play for a Pac-12 title. Bo Nix is going to be more healthy than he was this past week, right? Oregon was able to get by Utah this past week, but it was a struggle for Oregon, especially on the offensive end. Bo Nix, oh sure, he was making plays, but just watching him, he was not 100% healthy. Now, was he? So, Bo Nix definitely going to have to be a really good part of what this Oregon team wants to do. I think he will be, because he's going to be more healthy today than he has been in games prior. The Ducks defense is going to need to make the Beavs quarterback win the game, because the Beavers, pretty darn good team at running the football, and if they run the football effectively, watch out. Oregon could be in for a big day. Oregon State is not the best at quarterback play, so if Oregon can make whoever plays quarterback for the Beavers go ahead and try to win this thing with their arm, that is already a huge win for the Oregon Ducks, because they have playmakers in the backfield. They have Bo Nix at quarterback. Oregon is very confident if this turns into a match where the rubber is going to meet, or if this turns into a rubber match. There you go. There's the terminology for you. But Oregon State's defense, they're going to need to get some key stops here, right? Especially if that run game is not being able to go like it has been for most of this season. Oregon State has got to be able to find something on the defensive end if they want to be able to win this game. And honestly, I know I just said that Oregon needs to make the Beavers quarterback win the game. But if you are the Oregon State Beavers and Oregon is stopping this run, even if Oregon is not stopping the Beavers' run game, your quarterback might have to take some shots here in this game. So I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty interesting game. I think Oregon State's going to give Oregon quite a scare. But notice I said a scare. I do think the Ducks, once it is all said and done, will come out on top of the Oregon State Beavers. 28-26 is what I have this final score being. I think this is going to be a very fascinating game to watch. And the Oregon Ducks play themselves into a conference championship game appearance yet again. Oh boy. Woo. You want to talk about ringing an upset bell? Here's your game right here. The TCU Horned Frogs coming off a absolute nail-biter against the Baylor Bears, and one of the craziest endings to a football game you or I will ever see. But the Iowa State Cyclones come into this game, can't reach bowl eligibility. This team has nothing to lose. I expect Iowa State, before I even talk about some of the keys, I fully expect Iowa State to come in here and play their tail off. This is an Iowa State team that has been so close all season long to getting a taste of some wins here. They played Kansas really close. There are some other games where Iowa State was right there. And you got to think that the Cyclones this year, you got to think that the Cyclones in this game especially are going to be looking to spoil a party going on in TCU country right now. Diving into the keys to the game. The Iowa State defense is going to be a problem in this game for TCU, which means Max Duggan and company is going to have to be sharp, especially if this one gets close. Iowa State's defense has some pretty good pass rushers. They're going to be able to get to Max Duggan, and especially with Kendre Miller, not necessarily knowing his health, probably won't end up being 100% healthy, ready to go in this game. And again, TCU, well, they have Quentin Johnson and some of their other wide receiver weapons that were out against Baylor as well. Again, there's a big question mark in terms of who's healthy for TCU and who isn't. Iowa State, for the most part, pretty darn healthy. This is going to be a hard team to beat for TCU. And you know what? I see this one being close. Story of the season, though, with TCU, these are the comeback kids. They have done it so many times this season. TCU, I think, will find themselves down, and in crucial moments, Max Duggan is going to step up, and this TCU defense is going to step up. I got the Horned Frogs escaping this one. This game happens right after the Ohio State-Michigan game on Fox. I got TCU pulling this one out 28-20. So, little bit of a scare here for TCU. But again, the Horned Frogs able to pull this one out when it gets close late. All right. Ooh, you want to talk about ringing the upset bell again, right? LSU should have a number 5 next to their name there as well. That is my bad. I will take full responsibility for that. I threw these graphics together last night, and just something I missed right there. But LSU, 9-2. Texas A&M, 4-7. Yikes, it has not been a great season for the Texas A&M Aggies, has it, right? This has been a rough year for Jimbo Fisher and company. And the Aggies offense flat out will need its best performance in today's game. People, including myself, but most people around the nation, in fact, dare I say, everyone that watches college football around the nation has been watching Texas A&M this year and has been wondering one simple question. Where does the offense come from? Well, Texas A&M is going to have to find a place for the offense to come from in this game, because this is an LSU team that, hey, and I know it says 7 by their name, just go with me, it's a graphics mistake, I deeply, deeply apologize, I beg for your forgiveness. With LSU being ranked number 5, hey, who knows, man? LSU can play themselves in the spot for the college football playoff. You don't think this game means something to the LSU Tigers? It absolutely means something to the LSU Tigers, and Jaden Daniels is going to need his offensive line to step up and at points, I think maybe stand on its head. Texas A&M has some really good pass rushers, and I think they're going to be able to create their fair share of pressure against Jaden Daniels, and they're going to have their happy-go-lucky moments here in Aggie land. And A&M, mark my words, they will make this one scary, and LSU will be sweating bullets at points during this game. But the Tigers have so much at hand, and they have too much to lose. Not only will this game mean something for LSU in terms of, hey, rivalry weekend, right? But this game will also mean something for LSU in the fact that if you get the job done next week against Georgia, which, again, hard enough to do as it is, but if you get that job done, LSU could be on their way to being the first 2-loss team in the college football playoff. Texas A&M is going to grab hold of this game at times, and they're going to do it with defense and slow, methodical offensive play. But the LSU Tigers step up when they need to, and the Tigers escape Aggie land and Kyle Field with a win. I'm talking 24-17. I expect this to be a low-scoring defense-first type game, but LSU late, their offense arises, and the Tigers are going to be able to get the win and move on to next week to play Georgia for an SEC title. Couple more games here on the slate for, I think 2 or 3 more. Notre Dame Fighting Irish going on the road to take on the USC Trojans. An old rivalry renewed. USC finds themselves as 4.5-point favorites, and the Trojans are on a cusp of a playoff appearance. If they can get the job done here, and they can get the job done next week in the Pac-12 championship game between whoever they play, whether that be Washington, Utah, or Oregon, Utah can win if there is a 3-way tie, which means Oregon would have to lose, Utah would have to win, and Washington would have to win. We'll talk about Washington State a little bit later, and I think I'll reiterate what I just said. But 4.5-point favorites here for the USC Trojans. Look at that bottom bullet point first, all right? USC lives off of turnovers. This is, I believe, the team with the best turnover margin in the entire country. But the Irish, especially in some of these late games, have been really, really good at forcing turnovers. So, this is going to be a dogfight type game, right? And which team makes fewer mistakes? I'll come back to that point in a little bit. But Notre Dame offense has found their rushing attack, right? And they're running the ball super, super effectively, especially over these past couple games. But the Notre Dame offense is going to need some big plays through the air, and my apologies, especially some big plays from quarterback Drew Pine if they're going to want to be able to come out of here with a win and be able to upset the USC Trojans. The Irish defense versus the Trojan offense. That is what you should key in on in this game. The Trojan defense is not great. It does force turnovers, but in terms of allowing yards, it's not great. Notre Dame may get 450 yards in this game, and the Irish defense, excuse me, this Irish offense, as I've talked about, has struggled this year. The Irish defense, in my opinion, one of the best units in all of college football. The Trojan offense, in my opinion, one of the best units in all of college football. So strength on strength being pitted, which tells you that something's got to give, right? But back to the point about turnovers. I think Notre Dame is going to force 1 or 2 turnovers here. It may need to force 3 to win this game. But I have a sneaky suspicion. Something all week has been calling me about this game that Notre Dame is going to do just enough. And I mean barely just enough. Maybe a game-winning field goal or something like that. But all week, something has been telling me that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are going to win this game. And you know what? Hey, why not? Let's go ahead and throw it out there. My final prediction, 31-30 in favor of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And hey, if you are USC, this is a great first step and stepping stone, especially if they're able to win this game. A great first year under Lincoln Riley. But if USC loses this game here, A, it simplifies the playoff picture a lot, and most importantly, it knocks out USC of the playoff race, which is what I think will happen. Notre Dame wins this game. 2 more for you. 2 more. Definitely 2 more. I know I just said pass slide 2 more for you. No. Now it's 2 more for you. The Kansas Jayhawks and the Kansas State Wildcats going to be facing off on the gridiron this week. It is an 11-point favorite for the Kansas State Wildcats, but the Kansas Jayhawks are going to be looking to play spoiler in this game. Well, how can they play spoiler? Well, with Texas taking care of business yesterday against Baylor, if Kansas State loses this game, that opens the door for Texas to slide their way into the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State, though, the job is simple. If you get this job done and you are able to beat your rivals in the Jayhawks, which is going to be a lot harder of a task than it has been in previous years, Kansas State will be playing TCU for a Big 12 title. The Jayhawks defense has not been able to slow anybody down, right? This is the Jayhawks defense that, especially when I watched them against Duke in person, they had trouble defending outside of the hashes. And, well, that's kind of exactly what we saw against Texas, and especially Bijan Robinson able to do pretty much whatever he wanted there in that game. He was a freak of nature when Kansas and Texas played in that game. The Wildcats defense, though, has been good enough to get stops, and with not Jaden Daniels, that's the quarterback of LSU, with Jalen Daniels back as the quarterback for Kansas, this is definitely going to be a lot more of a dynamic Kansas offensive attack than we've seen in recent weeks. So, Kansas State's got to play good defensively, but so does Kansas, because you have Adrian Martinez or Will Howard, whoever happens to start at quarterback for Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn, some other really good weapons, and this Kansas State defense is going to come up with stops in this game. Can Kansas play spoiler? The answer to that question for me is no. I think Kansas State comes out here relatively high-scoring game at first, but I think both defenses will sort of lock in, and Kansas State, the Wildcats, make the bigger adjustments and bigger stops on the defensive end. I got the Wildcats winning this one 36-28 and on their way to a Big 12 title game. And the final game we're going to be previewing here, the Washington Huskies and the Washington State Cougars, the Apple Cup. I'm used to this game being played on Black Friday. Nope, not this year. Being played on Rivalry Saturday. Washington, the 2-point favorite. Can the Cougars defense put pressure on Michael Penix? In fact, not only can it, but it kind of has to, right? Michael Penix in Washington, I believe this is the #1 passing offense in the entire nation this year, and they have looked really solid when throwing the football. And Michael Penix has a lot of weapons to work with out there on the edge, and especially guys that can go up and win some one-on-ones for you. The Cougars' defensive line hasn't been great this season, but at times it's been able to do just enough. Well, it's got to have some big moments in this game against Washington if the Cougars are going to want to be able to pull this one off. The Huskies secondary also has to come up large because Washington State also has a pass-first offensive mind with Cam Ward at quarterback, and he's got some pretty impressive weapons to deal with himself. But the Huskies secondary, we know what they lost from last year, but it's been pretty good this year as well. So the Huskies secondary definitely going to have to come up large in this game. But my biggest question in this one is, which team can play better complementary football? And what I mean by that is I believe both these offenses are going to be fine, and both these offenses are going to have their moments in this game. Which defense can step up and play really well, right? Which defense is going to be the difference maker? Which defense is able to force the extra turnover or the extra possession that their offense needs to go win the game? And I think that's the Washington Huskies. I trust them not only offensively, but defensively just a little bit more. So I got the Huskies pulling out of Washington State here with a 30-23 win. But unfortunately, with the Oregon win, Washington will have to watch the Pac-12 championship game from home. Now, in order to get in, all you need is to take care of business here. You also need Utah to lose, and then you need Oregon to lose there as well. So lots of things need to go right for Washington to get in, but this is definitely a team that, hey, we've seen Pac-12 chaos unfold before. Washington takes care of business. They do their job, and let's see what happens around the nation. But guys, there you go. There are your Rivalry Saturday predictions. Enjoy your day of college football, because what a day it is going to be. With this matchup here, the two matchups down below, and some of the other games that you're going to see around the nation. Enjoy your college football Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, anything like that. Help support my channel. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.